Your tape is go and I am go.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today another installment of the history of satellite hacking. And today we're going to look at nFusion. You guys probably remember these nFusion receivers. The one on the top was a standard definition, sold for about $100. And the one on the bottom was the Cadillac. It was the HD unit. And it sold for about, I remember, about $500. And we'll get into the more details on that shortly. But for some of you that this might be the first time you're watching one of my history of satellite hacking videos, I'm going to start off first with the first method that was used. And that was to actually hack the real McCoy receiver. You needed an actual dishnet receiver, and you attacked the access card. We would reprogram that card. And around 2004, there was a watershed moment where all of a sudden you didn't need the actual provider equipment anymore. You didn't even need an access card. You just had to buy one of these FTA receivers. And what they were actually exploiting at that time was the fact that this receiver used a standard FTA DVB compliant chip, which was readily available, and they went out and there's the DVB logo. This box had the same chip in it. The other thing is the access card could be fully emulated in software. So an access card is actually in the software of this unit. So the FTA receivers allow the end user to reprogram them by just taking an SD card out and flashing that on your computer, bringing it over, popping it in, pushing a button on your remote. The receiver would update the bin and you had updated your access. Now for the first year, these FTA receivers really caught the providers off guard, and they didn't have any ECMs or any countermeasures against them. However, about a year later, they really started to go after them. They figured out ways and methods, and it became a problem. You were basically reprogramming your FTA receiver every night. You're opening this door, you're taking this out, you're putting it in your computer, and maybe an hour later it would go down again and you'd have to do the same thing, and it got to be a little bit annoying. Well, guess what, guys? The internet came along, and all of a sudden, a group of guys calling themselves nFusion decided to make FTA boxes, DVB, that, yep, the DVB, there it is there, had an internet port on the back. And if we go around and we look, there it is there, and there it is there on that one. So all you needed to do to use these boxes was plug them into the internet. And it was all magic from that point on. Pure magic. It was so great, and at least a year or two, nothing happened. Whatever the providers tried to do, they could counteract it on their end, and nFusion could, because they had control over your box. It was pure luxury. You didn't have to do anything anymore. You just had to sit down and enjoy your TV. And yeah, things were great for a while. And how this actually worked was not only could the firmware in the box be updated over the internet, the actual card, or what we call the control words, the internet key sharing, that was all done from a server remotely. Now where that server was kind of secret. I did trace an IP, and it was going to Hong Kong, so it was definitely offshore. The amount of data that was going back and forth to do this was very little. The timing wasn't too critical, so you could have a bit of latency on it. And yeah, it worked wonderfully. And it didn't just do dish, it did bell as well. And this here is dissect switch. And this is all you needed. Actually, I'm gonna maybe have to stop the camera. Oh, no, we're good. There we go. So this was a 4-port dissect switch. And that in the center there, that went to your receiver, and the other 4 were your LNBs. And these are LNBs on a satellite dish. And you used one of these dishes. It was just a oval, I think it was about 20 inches, 20 by 24, I believe this dish is. Multiple LNBs, and you could even put even more on it. You could actually have 5 of them. And that allowed you to receive all Dish Network satellites and all of Bell satellites. And yeah, into your nFusion receiver. The amount of channels, you had 1,000 channels, and you didn't have to do anything. It was absolute pure luxury. These boxes sold like crazy. Yeah, guys, it was great. So hold on a sec. I'm going to actually hook one of these up, and we're going to see what it does. Actually, it is hooked up, but we're going to hook it to my monitor, and we're just going to see what kind of menus come up, what it displays. Now, as time went on, nFusion kind of disappeared. And the reason why was because you just bought the boxes. You didn't pay them anything. So their business model was to make money off of the hardware. And eventually they reached a plateau, and they kind of disappeared with the money. And that's where these came into play. Linksys boxes, the GLs, or the, what was it, the WRT54. You could subscribe to an IKS service and still use one of these boxes. However, it was hard-coded in these boxes what IP number they connected to over in Hong Kong. So you would put a script on your Linksys box called GOO, and GOO would basically intercept that IP and forward it to whatever IP you wanted it to go to, whatever service. So what that was also telling us was nFusion wasn't really doing anything special and not encrypted or anything. It was pretty straightforward the way their system worked. And another service could actually provide the same internet key sharing to these boxes. And that worked for a while, but eventually it just was kind of a pain in the ass because sometimes the Linksys box would go down or something would go wrong, and it was kind of a headache. So a lot of people just started buying new boxes that they could just, on the box itself, set the service provider. And okay, guys, so there's the 2 remotes. And actually, I love that HD remote that came with it. It was really cool, nice and big buttons on it. So what we're going to do now is we are going to play with these boxes and hook them up, see what we can do with them, see what they show us. Okay, guys, stand by. Okay, guys, we are now going to check out the 2 nFusion boxes. The HD box I have connected to my monitor, and what was cool was had this door that opened on the front. I had a slot there for an access card. Was that a USB? There was some control buttons, and I love this fluorescent display. You don't really see those displays much anymore. Really cool. Yeah. So, and the one up in the top was really just kind of the cheapy box. It had the LED display on it. But the remotes that they give for both boxes was the same codes. You see, it will, yep, see, look at that. It's working on both. Anyways, let's go look at the monitor here. And as you see, I am going to press menu, and there we go. Oh, we had a game on it too, it looks like. Oh, it's taking a little bit of a lag on there, responding. Oh, I see. Got to go here. Gonna work. Oh, there we go. Let's press 1. Oh, wow. I never even knew that this existed. I don't even play this game. Anyway, back to the menu. Very laggy remote. Menu. We need to press exit. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, so system information. Oh, we got to go back. There we go. System information. Weather forecast. CA, that's conditional access. That would be interesting. Okay, smart card. No card, yes. Edit code. Let's go in and look. Oh, you see, so you got via access, or whatever that one was. So we got Nagra, probably Xcrypt, Beta Crypt. Not sure what the C one was. But anyway, we were dealing with Nagra, and look at that. 7,000, I think that was Bell. What's on the left is the provider ID, and there's always the two keys, the 0 and the 1, because they would roll. So let's go down, and not sure, I think that was Dish Network, the 00. It looks like a bunch of other providers here. So this box was obviously used not just on Dish and Bell, but probably globally. I heard it was used on a system in the Philippines and in South America. Different systems down there as well. So yeah, there we go, guys. Let's try the guide. Oh, okay, so terrestrial. That's true. I did have it hooked up. It was probably last used for terrestrial TV. And there are the satellites that it was using. See, all. Now, SEAL was the HD satellite for Dish Network. So let's go look at that. Oh yeah, WB. These are some of the channels in HD that it had. Look at that. Homes and Gardens in HD. Wow. Very cool. Nat Geo. So yeah, this is probably, don't see the date on here. I am wondering if we can go into the menu again and go into information and see if it, STB information. Okay, July, date July, okay. Okay, so the time, I've closed the menu and opened it several times. The time is not changing. It's staying at July 1354-17. So it is stuck in time, and that's probably the last time, but I don't know what year this was, but it's been more than 10 years. So anyways, guys, we are going to now open these boxes up and take a look inside. The HG unit especially is interesting because there is a separate card that you had to install to actually get it to work. And they did that for a certain reason, and I'm going to explain that next. Okay, guys, there we are with the cover off on the HD box. And yeah, it's a very nice, actually, receiver inside. Now, the cheapy one, the $100 one, was an all-in-one board, integrated power supply right on the main board. These things ran kind of hot and didn't last that long. If you got a couple years out of them, you were lucky before they went kaput. But it was a cheap box. It was $100, and that's all you had to pay. And this one over here, the Cadillac, as I call it, had a separate power supply, which was actually very nicely made. And okay, so here's where things got interesting. To get HD off of Dish Network, Dish Network used a proprietary forward error correction, and they called it Turbo FEC. And only their receivers had tuners that could tune a Turbo FEC. So in order for this receiver to work and be able to receive Turbo FEC, it needed a custom tuner, which is this chip here. And this board here was sold separately. And the reason they did that was they could not openly sell a receiver that could receive Turbo FEC or decode it, because that would just be outright, you know, hey, come get me. You know, I'm selling receivers that are designed to, you know, be used on Dish Network. So what they did is they sold this box as an FTA receiver, and you had to buy from a separate source, totally sold separately, this board here. and you had to install it and plug in these ribbon cables, as you see here. And on the back, you had to put this jumper in between here and here. And what was really interesting was they were trying to disguise, they had a hole on the back, a knockout, with a little rubber plug in it, and it said UHF remote antenna. Okay, so they were disguising that hole. If anybody said anything, well, you got a hole in the receiver for this thing. No. That hole is for the UHF remote, which didn't actually even exist. The whole purpose was, well, it was a conspiracy, right? They knew they couldn't sell the box openly with the ability to tune into turbo FEC. So they designed it with the hole in the back, called it a UHF antenna hole. UHF remote never existed for this box. However, they sold these boards separately, and you could buy them, you know, kind of underground on different forums and whatever. And you would get it and you would pop it in your box, plug it in these ribbon cables, put the jumper on the back, and voila, you had a receiver now that could tune to turbo FEC and tune into Dish Network's HD channels. So guys, that's how that was done. And what we're going to do next, I'm going to show you some videos on YouTube I found of people actually selling these boxes. It's still on YouTube. It's really funny. Probably one of them was from about 13 years ago. So here we go, guys. We're going to take a look at some videos now. Stand by. So here was a guy actually 13 years ago selling Infusion receivers using YouTube.
Hi, my name is Mac. Welcome to IncredibleFTA.com. We are viewing Infusion Phoenix, a slightly advanced version from their basic model Solaris, and we're going to go over some of the functions and features of this receiver with you. In the front panel, you can see that they...
Okay, we're not going to listen to him. He's kind of boring, but just interesting seeing somebody was doing this on YouTube. You get 2 thumbs up. And somebody down here left a comment, said this product doesn't work anymore. Lol, haven't you heard of IKS or card sharing? Yeah, let's go click on his store link here. And as you see, he's no longer around. Okay, guys, that was kind of funny. Powered by Infusion. Was quite a cool name and quite a cool concept how all of this worked. These boxes connected out to the internet, to some type of a cloud server, or servers that were scattered all over the world, and those servers were known as the S.U.N. servers. So there you go, guys. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to actually try to hook one of these up to the internet, and we're actually going to run it through one of these Linksys routers. And we're going to see, looking at IP tables, what it's trying to connect to. That'll be interesting. Okay, guys, let's do that next. There's a Meshtastic under test in the backyard. Testing has been going really good. But today, we're looking at Infusion, and we're going to check out the Infusion receiver, what IP it connects to. So what I've done here is I got this Linksys router going. The yellow cable is my computer. The white cable next to it is going over to that Infusion HD receiver. And the other one is connecting to my house internet. So guys, this is what we're going to do. DDWRT is running on that router, and it's going to allow us to see what the connection is when I turn this guy on here. So let's do that now. And we'll wait for it to boot up. It is loading. And up there, as you see, it's saying no signal. Okay, we're going to have a signal momentarily. Detecting device. Says it is, okay. Channel 251. It's not displaying anything yet. It's doing something here, the WB. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and active IPs 65. Let's look at this table. Okay, the 122 is my computer. So we are looking for an IP other than ending in 122. Not seeing it yet. Okay, there was a problem. It was set to a static IP, probably because it was being used with GU before. So I put it to dynamic, and look at that. It's got the IP 115. So if we go back over here now, we reload this page. Let's see if we got any 115s on here. So what I've done is I switched to the SD unit, the cheapo box, and I got it connected to the network. And as you can see, the lights are on, and it's acquired the IP ending in 131. Come over to the computer, and we can see 131. It's got a host name of HomeNet, but there is 0 connections going on, and that is interesting. It appears that it doesn't connect to the server or the Sun server until there is a satellite signal. That kind of makes sense because there would be no point in making a connection until it really needed to, because it would put a lot of extra traffic on their network. So what are we going to do? We're going to connect a satellite signal to it. Let's see what it does. Stand by, guys. Okay, guys, I'm down in Patch Bay, and I just want to show you what's going on down here. These are all different satellite dishes I have up on the tower and on the roof. There's one on 97 degrees. There's 110, which is dish. There's 119. 129 is actually no longer around that satellite. Defunct satellite. That was a SEAL satellite that had HD for dish originally. There's 82 HD for Bell. And then we're going to have 91 Bell. And then over here I've got the rotor, dish on a rotor. We have circular and we have linear, and then there's a couple test ports. So guys, I have connected this cable here, number 38. That's going up to the kitchen, so I'm going to give 119 satellite. That's Dish Network's main satellite. That is going to be going to the box right now, and we're going to see if we get a connection now. So there's cable 38. We got a splicer. We'll bring it down here. Things are getting kind of crazy here with all these wires, but hey, this is experimentation and learning. This is getting interesting. I tried doing it with the SD receiver. Couldn't pick up a thing. What I found is there's really nothing that isn't TurboFEC anymore up there. So this receiver is pretty much useless now to do anything with Dish Network. So I've gone over to the TurboFEC unit, and look at that. See that green line? That means we have a good signal, a signal that it understands. And that is a TurboFEC signal, because I can tell by the FEC that they're using. If we go over here, we can see right there, you see that 21500. That is usually what they use for TurboFEC. Is that symbol rate. So 12253, and we are going to try to find those channels just for fun. Anyways, here we go, guys. Let's see what happens if we do a TP scan, which is the green button. Let's push the green button, and away it goes. Let's see what we get. Okay. Got PBS. Okay, well, as long as we got something, it's going to cause the box to connect. Here we go. That's why we're doing this. We're trying to stimulate it to connect to the Sun server. Exit. And let's go to the guide. Okay, let me take a closer look. Hold on, guys. Okay, PBS station, the one we scanned in just now. Let's go to it and look what we get. Sun's disconnected. Okay, so that means it's tried to connect to the Sun server. Let's go look at the IPs now and the IP tables. Stand by, guys. There you go, guys. There it is, HomeNet. IP ending in 115. It has made 3 connections. Now 2 connections. Okay, the first, it's probably one of them was a DNS query. So let's go over system info. and status. And we can find out down here the connection log. Let's see what it's doing. Oh, I saw it. Okay. Right there. Oh. It's trying to connect to that 210 IP. We'll have to look that one up. What other ones? There's another one. I just saw it there. Another 210. Look, port 3470 unreplied. Yeah, I guess. But 210, that sounds like Asia. An IP starting in 210. I'm just guessing, but that sounds like somewhere over in Hong Kong or somewhere. There's another one. Unreplied. Okay, it keeps hitting the same IP over and over again. Okay, so that's what it's doing. It's looking for multiple times. It's trying to hit the same IP. Where was it again? There it is there. Okay. So it's that IP, 210. Copy. And now let's go over to Aaron. And we will query Aaron, the American Registry of Internet Numbers. The best place to do your IP who is China. Wow, it's Shanghai. These guys weren't fooling around, were they? I knew it was Asia. Well, there you go, guys. So nFusion tied back to China somehow. It must have been the triads or who knows what. Definitely organized crime. Okay, guys. Well, we figured that out. That was kind of cool. Shanghai. So there you go, guys. Internet connectivity changed the game. When it came to nFusion, it was a whole new era of satellite hacking. These boxes made it easy. You just had to buy the box, plug it in, connect it to your satellite dish, and voila, you had TV programming. Look at that. It's actually working. It's actually picking up a couple of channels. Those channels are actually not encrypted. That's why they're coming in. However, those are turbo effect channels. You would not be able to pick those channels up without a receiver with a turbo effect tuner. A real dish network receiver wouldn't allow you to get those channels still because it wouldn't have authorization on the card. So there you go, guys. I just want to say nFusion was a really cool time. It was a really cool era. It was a game changer. It paved the way to IKS internet key sharing, which suddenly became a very commonplace following nFusion. And later on led to actually IPTV, which is what we know today. So there you go, guys. Have yourself a great Easter and don't eat too much. Okay, there we go, guys. Wheelers and dealers. Wow, that's actually kind of funny. The wheelers and dealers.
You have to reference all those years.
nFusion, those guys were the wheeler dealers, man. Coming up with this concept. It was brilliant. Really brilliant concept. There you go, guys. Have a good one.
Hello. You're watching Dish Network's Pirate TV channel. Did you know you're not an authorized subscriber? That's right. I'm speaking to you on a channel that only someone receiving programming without proper authorization can view. So if you're watching me, you're a satellite pirate.